America's food culture changed forever when Italian immigrants arrived carrying more than suitcases and recipes. They brought traditions, family rituals, warmth, and a way of turning simple ingredients into unforgettable meals. Families from Sicily, Naples, Calabria, and Abruzzo entered crowded American cities searching for survival. But what they created inside tiny kitchens became something much larger. Garlic sizzling in olive oil, tomato sauce bubbling for hours, and bread baking. In cramped apartments slowly transformed entire neighborhoods. Food became the center of everything: celebrations, grief, religion, and family unity. Italian-American cooking wasn't simply about eating. It became a language of love spoken through pasta, cheese, bread, and sauce. Long Sunday dinners stretched late into the night while laughter echoed through apartment hallways. Generations gathered around tables that felt sacred. These dishes taught America something powerful. Comfort food could carry memory, identity, and emotion. And at the center of this delicious revolution stood one iconic creation: spaghetti with meatballs. Spaghetti with meatballs became one of the most famous dishes in American history, even though traditional Italy never truly paired giant meatballs with pasta. In poor southern Italian villages, meat was scarce and often reserved for special occasions. But in America, immigrant families suddenly found beef and pork far more affordable, allowing them to create meals richer and more filling than anything back home. Thin spaghetti covered in slow-cooked tomato sauce became the perfect partner for large, juicy meatballs seasoned with garlic, parsley, and parmesan. The aroma alone filled apartment buildings with warmth and comfort. Families gathered around, oversized plates, while cheese snowed down over steaming pasta. The dish represented more than dinner. It symbolized survival, turning into success. Italian Americans blended Old World tradition with New World opportunity and created something completely original. Restaurants across the country embraced the dish, and soon spaghetti with meatballs became a national comfort food loved far beyond immigrant neighborhoods and family kitchens. While spaghetti and meatballs conquered dinner tables, another Italian-American masterpiece began taking over city streets: New York-style pizza. Inspired by Naples, but transformed by American energy, this pizza became larger, thinner, cheesier, and easier to eat on the move. In crowded immigrant neighborhoods, bakers stretched dough by hand, covered it with sweet tomato sauce, and baked it inside blazing coal ovens until the crust blistered perfectly. Mozzarella bubbled across the surface while the smell drifted through city blocks. Sold cheaply by the slice, pizza became the ultimate working-class meal. Laborers, cab drivers, students, and late-night wanderers all grabbed slices folded neatly in their hands. Pizza changed the way America ate because it proved food could be quick without losing soul. It didn't require silverware or fancy dining rooms. It traveled through busy streets and subway stations while still carrying warmth and flavor. Soon, pizza shops became gathering places where neighborhoods, cultures, and generations mixed together naturally. Inside Italian-American homes, however, the true heart of family life was something slower and deeper: Sunday gravy. This wasn't ordinary tomato sauce. It was a ritual that began early in the morning with garlic sizzling in olive oil, while enormous pots slowly filled with tomatoes, herbs, sausages, pork ribs, meatballs, and braciole. For hours, the sauce simmered gently, filling homes with aromas impossible to forget. Families attended church, finished errands, and returned home, knowing the feast waited patiently on the stove. Bread sat nearby, ready to soak up every drop of sauce. Every family claimed their version was best. Adding wine, extra garlic, or secret seasonings passed through generations. Sunday gravy taught America patience in a world increasingly obsessed with speed. The meal wasn't just about flavor, it was about togetherness. Grandparents, cousins, children, and neighbors gathered around crowded tables, where conversations lasted longer than the food itself. Those Sunday meals became emotional anchors for countless Italian-American families. Across generations, another legendary creation that conquered restaurants across America was chicken parmesan. Inspired loosely by Italian breaded cutlets, but transformed through American abundance, chicken parm became larger, richer, cheesier, and unapologetically bold. Chicken breasts were pounded thin, seasoned carefully, coated in breadcrumbs, and fried until perfectly golden and crisp. Then came the magic. Rich tomato sauce poured generously over the cutlets before mozzarella and parmesan melted across the top inside a hot oven. Every bite delivered crunch, sauce, and stretchy cheese in perfect harmony. Unlike delicate European dishes, chicken parmesan embraced excess proudly. Diners, pizzerias, and family restaurants everywhere placed it proudly on menus because customers loved its comforting richness. The dish crossed class boundaries completely. Construction workers, office employees, students, and families all found comfort in its familiar flavors. Chicken parmesan taught America that simple ingredients could become deeply satisfying when prepared with confidence and generosity. Even today, it remains one of the country's most beloved Italian-American comfort foods. Italian immigrants also transformed the American sandwich forever through the creation of the Italian hoagie, submarine, sandwich, hero, or grinder, depending on where you lived. Originally made for dock workers and factory laborers needing portable meals, these sandwiches packed enormous flavor inside crusty rolls. Layers of salami, capicola, mortadella, provolone, lettuce, tomatoes, onions, oil, vinegar, and herbs created something balanced, salty, rich, and refreshing all at once. Every region added its own personality, but the core idea stayed the same. Bold ingredients layered carefully between excellent bread. The sandwich became more than lunch. It represented immigrant identity and hardworking culture. Affordable yet filling, the hoagie traveled easily through busy American life. Workers carried them into factories, construction sites, and office buildings. Unlike tiny tea sandwiches popular earlier in American culture, Italian subs felt substantial and satisfying. They proved sandwiches could become full meals bursting with personality. Soon, delis across the country proudly displayed giant heroes stacked with meats and cheeses. Another Italian-American invention born from practicality and flavor was the calzone, taking everything people loved about pizza and folding it into portable form. The calzone became the perfect street food for busy workers and hungry families. Dough wrapped around ricotta, mozzarella, meats, and herbs before baking into golden pockets filled with steam and melted cheese. When sliced open, the aroma of oregano, garlic, and tomato exploded outward instantly. Calzones offered all the comfort of pizza while remaining easy to carry through crowded city streets. Italian-American pizzerias embraced them enthusiastically. Because customers loved their richness and convenience, the crispy exterior gave way to gooey cheese and flavorful fillings hidden inside like treasure. For many families, calzones became quick weeknight meals capable of feeding everyone affordably. They reflected the Italian-American talent for adapting old traditions into something practical for modern American life. Portable, satisfying, and endlessly customizable, Calzones proved immigrant creativity could turn even leftovers and dough into unforgettable comfort food. If one dish symbolized family gatherings and abundance better than almost anything else, it was lasagna. Layer after layer of pasta, ricotta, mozzarella, parmesan, and meat sauce stacked together into bubbling trays of pure comfort. In Italian-American households during the 20th century, lasagna became essential at birthdays, holidays, baptisms, and Sunday dinners. The smell drifting from the oven could pull relatives into the kitchen before the meal even started. Every slice delivered creamy cheese, tender noodles, and rich tomato sauce in perfect balance. Unlike simpler Italian versions often made with bechamel and lighter ragu, American lasagna grew larger and more indulgent. It represented prosperity for families who once struggled with poverty after arriving in America. Making lasagna required time, effort, and care, which made it feel deeply meaningful. Leftovers tasted even better the next day, allowing families to relive the comfort repeatedly. Lasagna became more than food. It became a symbol of generosity, celebration, and emotional warmth. Focaccia introduced Americans to the beauty of simple bread made extraordinary through patience and olive oil. Before becoming trendy bakery food decades later, focaccia served as survival bread in many Italian homes. Basic dough topped with rosemary, tomatoes, onions, or sea salt, baked into golden flat loaves with crispy edges and soft centers. Italian-American families often tore pieces directly from the tray while it remained warm from the oven. The scent of olive oil and herbs instantly filled kitchens with comfort and nostalgia. Unlike sugary breads or heavily buttered rolls common elsewhere in America, focaccia embraced simplicity proudly. It proved that excellent ingredients and careful preparation mattered more than decoration. Families served it beside soups, pasta, salads, and Sunday gravy, though many people happily ate it entirely alone. Eggplant parmesan proved Italian-American cuisine could transform vegetables into something rich, comforting, and unforgettable. Thin slices of eggplant were coated in breadcrumbs, fried until golden, then layered carefully with marinara sauce and bubbling mozzarella cheese. The result was crispy, creamy, salty, and sweet all at once. Families often prepared enormous trays capable of feeding entire gatherings. For immigrant households struggling financially, eggplant became a practical alternative to expensive meats, while still delivering satisfying flavor and texture. But over time, eggplant parmesan evolved beyond necessity and became a beloved classic in its own right. The smell of frying eggplant, mixed with garlic and tomato sauce, created instant feelings of home for countless families. Restaurants across America added it to menus because customers embraced its comforting richness. The dish demonstrated one of the most important truths in Italian-American cooking: creativity matters more than luxury. Even inexpensive ingredients could become deeply indulgent when prepared with patience, confidence, and care passed through generations. The meatball hero took the comfort of spaghetti and meatballs and turned it into one of America's greatest: sandwiches. Large meatballs simmered in tomato sauce were stuffed inside crusty Italian bread before being covered with melted mozzarella cheese. The sandwich was messy, enormous, and impossible to eat neatly, which only made people love it more. Construction workers, taxi drivers, students, and factory employees all embraced the meatball hero because it delivered incredible flavor and filling portions cheaply. Sauce soaked into the bread while the meatballs remained juicy and tender, underneath layers of melted cheese. Eating one required both hands and several napkins. The sandwich reflected the bold spirit of Italian-American food perfectly: generous, flavorful, and deeply satisfying. Delis and sandwich shops across the country proudly displayed gigantic meatball subs behind glass counters. Soon, the sandwich became a staple of American lunch culture, proving that immigrant cuisine could transform even simple bread and meat into something iconic and unforgettable nationwide. Baked ziti became another essential dish for celebrations, church gatherings, birthdays, and neighborhood parties. Often described as lasagna's easier cousin, baked ziti combined pasta, tomato sauce, ricotta, mozzarella, and parmesan inside giant casserole dishes baked until golden and bubbling. Unlike lasagna, it required less preparation while still delivering enormous comfort and flavor. Italian-American families loved it because it fed large groups affordably and transported easily between homes, churches, and gatherings. The top layer always developed crispy edges, while melted cheese stretched dramatically with every serving spoon. Children loved it, adults loved it, and leftovers disappeared quickly the next day. Baked ziti helped introduce casserole-style Italian comfort food to mainstream American households far beyond immigrant communities. The dish represented practicality without sacrificing warmth or richness. Whenever unexpected guests arrived, baked ziti solved the problem effortlessly. One giant tray could feed almost everyone. It became proof that food didn't need elegance to create joy, only flavor, generosity, and enough portions for everybody. Mozzarella in carrozza showed how Italian-American families turned leftovers into pure comfort. Day-old bread surrounded, slices of mozzarella cheese before being dipped in egg and fried until crisp and golden. The moment someone cut into it, melted cheese stretched outward while steam escaped dramatically. The dish was simple, affordable, and unbelievably satisfying. Families created it because wasting food was never acceptable in immigrant households, where survival often depended on creativity. Yet something magical happened during the cooking process. Ordinary bread and cheese transformed into something luxurious and deeply comforting. Children rushed toward the kitchen whenever the smell of frying mozzarella filled the air. Served hot, the sandwich delivered crunchy texture outside and creamy softness inside. Italian-American cooking repeatedly proved that resourcefulness could produce unforgettable meals. Mozzarella in carrozza became another example of turning scarcity into celebration. Even modern restaurants later embraced versions of the dish because people instinctively connected with its warmth, nostalgia, and irresistible combination of crisp bread and melted cheese. Pasta e fagioli, often pronounced pasta fazool, in Italian-American neighborhoods represented survival transformed into comfort. Combining pasta, beans, garlic, onions, tomatoes, and broth, the soup delivered nourishment cheaply while filling kitchens with warmth. Early immigrant families often lacked money for expensive meats, so they relied heavily on beans and pasta for protein and energy. Yet, despite humble ingredients, the soup carried remarkable flavor and emotional comfort. Steam curled upward from chipped bowls while exhausted workers returned home from long days in factories and construction sites. Families gathered around, tables where the smell of garlic and tomato broth made tiny apartments feel safe and welcoming. The dish symbolized resilience because it stretched minimal ingredients into meals capable of feeding everyone. Italian-American households passed recipes through generations, each family adding unique touches and seasonings. Pasta e fagioli taught America an important lesson. Simple food prepared with care can nourish both body and spirit. Sometimes the humblest meals create the strongest emotional memories forever. Arancini transformed leftover risotto into crispy golden treasures filled with melted cheese, peas, or rich meat sauce. Rolled into balls, coated in breadcrumbs, and fried until crunchy. Outside, they became one of the most beloved comfort foods in Italian-American communities. Children often grabbed them impatiently while still dangerously hot, because the smell alone proved irresistible. When bitten open, steam escaped alongside gooey cheese and savory filling hidden inside. Arancini perfectly represented immigrant ingenuity, because they turned yesterday's leftovers into today's excitement. Nothing was wasted inside traditional Italian-American kitchens. Creativity mattered too much. Street festivals, bakeries, and family gatherings all embraced arancini enthusiastically because they were portable, filling, and packed with flavor. The crunchy exterior contrasted beautifully against creamy risotto centers. Families proudly served them during holidays and celebrations where trays disappeared almost immediately. Arancini demonstrated how Italian-American food constantly balanced practicality with indulgence. Even leftovers could become something joyful, festive, and unforgettable when prepared with imagination, patience, and skill passed through generations. Stuffed shells became another baked masterpiece loved by Italian-American families for their simplicity and abundance. Large pasta shells filled with ricotta cheese, spinach, garlic, and herbs rested inside trays of marinara sauce before baking beneath. Melted mozzarella. When served, they looked elegant and inviting despite requiring relatively affordable ingredients. The smell of bubbling cheese and tomato sauce instantly transformed kitchens into places of comfort and celebration. Families appreciated stuffed shells because one tray easily fed large gatherings, unexpected guests, or hungry children returning home from school. Like many Italian-American dishes, they balanced practicality with emotional warmth beautifully. The creamy filling contrasted perfectly against tangy tomato sauce and tender pasta. Restaurants later embraced the dish nationwide because customers loved its familiar flavors and hearty portions. Stuffed shells reminded people that food did not need expensive ingredients to feel luxurious. Patience, good sauce, and family recipes carried far greater importance. Even today, stuffed shells remain a symbol of generosity served proudly at countless dinner tables. Tiramisu introduced sophistication and café culture into Italian-American dessert traditions. Layers of espresso-soaked ladyfingers combined with mascarpone cream and cocoa powder created a dessert both elegant and comforting. The name itself means "pick me up," perfectly matching the energizing mixture of coffee and sweetness. During the 1970s and 1980s, tiramisu exploded in popularity across America as coffee culture grew rapidly. Restaurants proudly displayed enormous trays, while dinner parties ended with guests scraping the last creamy spoonfuls from glass dishes. Unlike overly sugary desserts, tiramisu balanced bitterness and sweetness beautifully. Every bite delivered coffee richness, softened by smooth mascarpone cream. Italian-Americans embraced the dessert because it connected old European café traditions with modern American dining culture. It felt sophisticated without becoming intimidating. Tiramisu demonstrated how Italian-American cuisine constantly evolved while maintaining emotional warmth and familiarity. Even people unfamiliar with traditional Italian cooking quickly fell in love with its delicate layers, proving dessert could feel comforting and refined simultaneously. Cannoli became one of the most recognizable Italian-American desserts ever created. Crispy fried pastry shells filled with sweet ricotta cream, chocolate chips, pistachios, or candied fruit appeared at weddings, Christmas celebrations, baptisms, and bakery counters everywhere. The contrast between crunchy shell and silky filling created unforgettable texture and flavor.